Hi everyone, this is Ellen Marie Francisco. Welcome to my channel. Tonight I thought we would talk about dreams and astral traveling. So you innocently go to bed at night, you put your head down on the pillow and you think that you're gone for the duration. I think that a lot of people who think they're dreaming are really astral traveling. And so thanks for coming in. In this video, I want to just talk about the difference between dreaming and astral traveling and whether you're getting visitations from spirits or you're working with your guides or you're being tormented by low-level migratory entities that just want to mess with you and trip you up in the nighttime space. All kinds of things are possible. A lot of people have dreams. They go to bed every night. Things happen. And sometimes they have the recollection of something interesting having transpired in their sleep, and they'll remember a lot, or they'll remember pieces, but they'll definitely have the sense that they went somewhere and something significant had happened. They're definitely going to try to do this work at night. And you know, as much as our brain is a bit of a computer system, I believe that some of the dreams that we have just are a natural byproduct of this kind of mental offloading that we would do day to day. It's just a way to offload some of the thoughts that coagulate through our mind space every day. So in some regard, that's what dreams are. It's like this, you know, flow outward so that you don't have to have it in your space. Some people can do lucid dreaming where they'll be directing some intentions through the dream. They'll put themselves in specific situations where they can reenact or enact some kind of an outcome. So that does take quite a bit of focus and concentration. People who are very concerned about their own futures, or they might be uncertain about certain things or the outcome of possible situations that they're involved in, they'll often go to sleep at night and just hop onto their own timeline. So rather than actually having a dream, they're leaving their body, moving out of it astrally, and then out they go, off they go, and they'll often hop onto their own timeline, so they'll be able to tell what possibilities may be coming toward them. I know that they're really out there. They're going into other dimensional realities, and they're going into their own futures, and they're searching for clues into their own lives and what's going to be happening next. People who are very concerned about their futures, they will go out and they'll try to connect with people that can help them build. So if they're trying to bring in a relationship, they may do some of their intermediary dating and you know, checklisting to see what traits they might be able to find with somebody. And they can do that by going into their own future and kind of hooking up with some of these ethereal or astral versions of people, so they can determine some possible outcomes based on whatever choices they might gravitate towards. And you can be astral traveling without necessarily seeing the silver cord or the lit up cord that would connect your physical body to your astral body. So just because you don't see the cord doesn't mean it's not happening. You could just be moving your consciousness to such a pinpointed standpoint that you're not really noticing whatever is left of whatever physicality might be noticeable to you. So yeah, and I mean, you really can go into other dimensions. You can go into your past, you can go into your future you can go into alternate realities of the here and now, you know, where you can sort of chase different probabilities. So sometimes if you've shown up somewhere and you're meeting somebody for the first time, but there's a familiarity between you, often that will be because in some way or another you were able to get up and out of your body onto your own timeline to look into your own future, to be able to see who the players are in your own little unraveling dramas. And that can create a sense of trust and safety with people that you've never met before, and where you meet them and you've got instant trust, and you know you can just relax because your higher selves have already had some kind of communication, or they've already met, or it's already been kind of programmed into your immediate future to meet these people. If you understand that you do a lot of astral traveling and you feel a little discombobulated when you come back, or you're feeling scattered or just fragmented, you know, a lot of times you'll come back from the astral state and you'll have all of these pieces and you won't really feel totally together. So I guess maybe I should start with saying that, you know, the astral planes can be very confusing because so much of them operate on just pure creative thought and pure you know, creation, I guess, that you can conjure up these worlds out of nowhere, or you can slip into these worlds that are everywhere around you and you know, and be gone. Some people are prone to cling-ons in the astral world, you know, like you're going into these different dimensions that still have a certain degree of physicality to them, you know, might not be as tangible as this reality, but it's tangible enough for you to feel and to hear and to see and to smell if you're really attuned. So that's another way that you can tell whether you're astral traveling or dreaming. If your senses, olfactory and otherwise, are being engaged, then like if you can hear things, if you're seeing color, you know, chances are very good that you're actually not dreaming, but you're traveling, you're going to other places and you're learning things, or you're connecting with people that you love, or you're trying to sign up for some new you know, intergalactic or spiritually based classes in the clouds, basically. So keep that in mind. People tend to have a better excursion if they can, you know, take precautionary measures with their physical body. A lot of times you can tell that you've been astral traveling because when you wake up, you'll suddenly feel like you've jolted into your body, or you're suddenly like, bam, you're in, and it feels very forceful. And you'll also often feel very heavy when you wake up. So it's like you're glued to your mattress and you can barely lift your arms. You know, sometimes if you wake up with extreme dehydration, or you might feel like you've been running or something like that, well, those can be signs that you've actually been astral traveling and covering some real territory. And also that sense of that flying feeling. A lot of people report having dreams where they're flying and they're in the air, they're floating or whatever else. I really believe that that is also proof that you're leaving your physical body and you're moving up, because obviously you can fly in the astral states. I remember very clear vignettes of me, you know, careening over the tops of trees and groves of trees when I was young, trying to kind of get a vacation in during the nighttime before I had to wake up and go back to my normal life. So I'm just wondering, like, how many of you have had these experiences where you've had to, take a few deep breaths and try to figure out what happened to you when you were asleep, when you were least expecting anything to happen. A lot of times, people who aren't really connected to their own sense of self or their own spirituality will often use the dream state as a way to connect to those parts of themselves, to reconnect with these inner parts. Higher self is completely accessible at night, where it might be harder to listen to throughout the day because there's too much else going on in your life. So a lot of times there are often these periods in your life where you may actually have some sense that you've gone to school at night, or that there may be councils of people that are assessing your progress, or assessing where you think you want to go and whether that's beneficial for you. Trying to avoid periods where you're depriving yourself of sleep is obviously, it's good to get the sleep that you need, because it's not just you repairing your physical body at night. It has a lot to do with planning and forecasting for your own future. Loved ones who've passed, who might be trying to reach you throughout the day to give you some advice or some love or just some insights, or just this, the sweet scent of them or something. If they can't get your attention during the day because you're too busy and too caught up in your own sort of, day-to-day reality, then they'll often try to seep in through, your third eye at night, and at least give you some information that way, or at least, try to maintain a relationship with you in whatever dimension you can show up in, right? Like, you might not be open to seeing these people during your day-to-day life, so the only safe space that they can go is into your dreams. So, the next time you have a dream of your loved ones that have passed and they're very much alive in your dream space, consider that that actually may have been a visitation, and that was a way that you could meet them halfway, so to speak, so that you can actually continue having an ongoing relationship with somebody who's no longer on the earth plane. And often, if a spirit is trying to get through to you, those are the methods that they would use, right? While you're relaxed and a little bit checked out. During a dream state, or a parent dream state, you may actually have some of your guides and teachers and loved ones that have passed on that will visit you during these dream states and attempt to give you instructions based on whatever your themes and lessons and contracted challenges are. Back to the visitations, like, I once had this gentleman who was really getting tormented by dreams. His brother, who had recently been deceased, kept showing up in his dream state. So when they showed up for this reading, and I was looking at what was going on with the energetic structure of this guy, I could tell that his third eye, which is the sixth chakra, was and it comes out at the front and the back. So I could tell that in that space he was getting visited. It wasn't just going back in time and dreaming about his brother at the playground or in their family home or whatever it was. It was actually his brother coming from these other realms and places, and visiting, and being very adamant about needing to talk to him. And so, you know, um, spirits are very determined, and they will try to get the message through to you at whatever, you know, in whatever means they can. If you have energetic weaknesses, so if your aura is perforated, or you're, you know, you are enough of an empath that you haven't learned discernment and proper energetic detachment, or creating proper energetic boundaries, then often when you go out into these astral states, like, you can get your, you know, fanny whooped, because you're just in and out of all kinds of places, right? It would be like kids in a candy store kind of a thing, without a lot of focus. You could just be, you know, just out there on a sugar high, and then trying to get over it for days afterwards. So a lot of times, if you're out in the astral and you have, you know, these desires to really move through things and create and move forward, then, you know, the stakes are a little higher. You've got to be a little more careful out there. So I really recommend, and often teach people how to ground before you go to sleep. So if you can meditate and run some earth and cosmic energy, if you know those exercises, or you can just ground into your own body as you're falling asleep, and, you know, envision as much of your aura as you can in a protective, defining way, then that's going to minimize some of the risk. Early in my practice, I found that, you know, there would be these slews of people that would come to me in waves, and I'd be removing all of these foreign objects out of their system, like almost like they were in these foreign worlds, and they were picking up souvenirs and bringing them back with them. You know, sometimes you can have entities follow you back home, right? So you really, you know, just sort of pay attention to what some of your own symptoms are, and protect accordingly, I guess is what I would say. Like, you don't really, you don't want to treat the astral planes like the Wild West, like it's a free for all, and any, you know, it's anybody's game, right? Like, you do have to kind of travel in the astral worlds with some certain degree of protocol and um, respect, right? So, and there are plenty of beings and entities and spirits that live very comfortably in the astral because they're not embodied. And with you being embodied and then trying to, you know, work in these other planes, then, you know, there's often a price to pay. So you don't really want to have, you know, stuff follow you home, basically. So if you feel like you're prone to these states, you can do some other things in your own room to protect the space, like using purple amethyst, or, you know, doing crystal grounding or crystal grids so that you're, you know, protected. You can say some prayers before you go, you know, to your higher self, or to your own guides, and just ask them for protection. You can wrap yourself in angelic light and work from it that way. So, you know, you can be creative in the way that you protect yourself in the astral. Like, it's not exactly a one size fits all, but there are some generalities, right? So I would recommend, as much as you can, ground as much before you go to sleep, because the more grounded your physical body is, the more protected it is in the astral. It seems kind of odd, but I've seen that over and over again. Saying like a loving little prayer, you know, protect me on my journeys. The more grounded you are, the more present you are in yourself, the less vulnerable you will be out in those fields as well, in those different planes. In my own case, if I'm traveling, I'll often go up and out through the astral and make sure that I'm going to be okay when I get there, right? Like I kind of do this reconnaissance mission to see if, I'm going to be in a safe zone or what's going to be happening when I arrive. So it took me a few years to figure out what was going on, because I would end up in places that I'd never been to, and yet in the first couple of days that I was there, I would see all these really familiar faces, and yet they'd be people that I had never met. And so you have enough of those situations and experiences, and you start to string together the meaning behind these situations. So don't believe that just because you're closing your eyes and going to sleep that you're actually getting any sleep. So a lot of times people will wake up in the morning after being in bed for 12 hours and apparently sleeping, and wake up more tired than when they went to bed. And a lot of times that will be because you're out astral traveling and you're really getting a lot done, and you're trying to make up for lost time that you might not have during the daytime, or you might like I said, just trying to make connections. We spend an awful lot of time worried about our future in one way or another. Even people who are very happy-go-lucky and seem to be living in the moment, there's concern about where are we going next, how are we getting there, who's going to be there when we get there. So people want to know these things. If you have prayers open to the universe all the time about, please show me this or show me that, sometimes that information doesn't come to you in the waking life as you're driving down the road, or picking up apples out of the grocery carts. It gets in where it can, and the information is going to seep in through the least guarded places. And the whole point of allowing yourself to sleep is to be able to turn off the mind. And as you're turning off the mind, you're opening up all the rest of what's occupying in there. So your third eye is going to open way up, and even your crown chakra, right? To allow you to live at these different vibratory rates. A lot of times people that can't settle in to sleep as well can get into a little bit of a sleep routine so that you're not working against yourself. A lot of people do have nightmares, repeating nightmares. A lot of times nightmares come through because of unresolved issues that kind of lodge around your second and third chakra. So you get out into the astral and this stuff starts to, pop up and through you. You can also, resolve ongoing problems in a way that can be very symbolic and very healing without a whole ton of effort. So, it's pretty wondrous, because your mind is going to be looking for resolution in one way or another. So if you're in conflicted relationships and you can't resolve those in your day-to-day life, those are going to resolve somehow in one way or another, so that your mind is going to create scenarios where there'll be an outcome, and a wind up or a roundup or a finish off or something, so that you're concluding rather than continuing to have these unresolved issues. A lot of people will have recurring dreams or have recurring nightmares as they're reliving certain themes that are working on their own lives and trying to unfold or heal. If they don't have the room to heal during their daily life, then they're definitely going to try to do this work at night. And so when you start to have recurring dreams, it usually does have to do with some kind of overall theme that you're trying to work out, this big lesson that you're trying to learn. And you'll often see you know, it might be the same theme, but it might be a little different each time, or that it's a little bit of a different viewpoint or things like that. So in that regard, when you have those kinds of things happen, those are usually our dreams. That really is something that your mind's just trying to work out or finish off or complete, so that you don't sort of drive yourself mental throughout the day. You know, so that's where I would make a little bit of a distinction as far as you know, how can you tell you're having a dream? And how can you tell whether you're having an astral projection or things like that? So um, a lot of times you won't remember everything, right? But you'll remember enough that you can work with it. Yeah, so what else can I tell you? And if you are having nightmares and you do have these reoccurring, you know, difficult periods, it might be worth having someone like me take a look at what's going on and what's getting stuck and why is this perpetuating. Like, you know, we all have our loops to a certain extent at all kinds of periods of our lives, but if we're in you know, a deep cycle of cleansing or healing or trying to wrap up certain lessons in our lives, then the demand is going to be there to get the work done, you know. So whether, even if you're a little stuck and a little resistant to your own growth, the fact is your higher self and all your other, you know, guides are going to be continuing to move this momentum forward so that you are making progress. So if your guides can't reach you during the daytime, they're going to try to be, you know, kind of getting you at night. Hello, hello, and, you know, waking you up in your own way. And so if you've met your guides in your sleep state and weren't really aware that they were even around you, you know, you might be caught off guard by that attention and think, oh my God, like I'm being haunted or I'm being tormented or I'm being followed or stalked in your sleepy night times. But, you know, you might actually just be connecting to something that's really a vital support and is trying to save you some time, right? Like you may need the extra help. So I wouldn't really cut off your nose to spite your face until you have more understanding of what's actually going on. So a lot can happen in your sleep. So for people who tend to feel they need more sleep suddenly, you may go through cycles where, oh my God, suddenly you've got to sleep during the day because you've just got this pull on your system and you can't ignore it, you know, and life may even have conspired to allow you to give you the extra time you need to sleep. But, you know, keep in mind that sleep is physically restorative and spiritually productive. A lot of times, too, people who are interdimensional will move through their dimensions in their sleep state. Like some people do it in their daytime and they can just daydream and be gone and here at the same time. And you're like, hello, are you there? You know, trying to bring them back. And a lot of times people will just, you know, move out. So as you're moving up and out of your body, I've learned that the 8th chakra, which is just a little above your 7th chakra, which is your crown chakra, and that's kind of your divine connection to God's source energy. So the next chakra up, I've been shown and told over the years, is where the interdimensional shifts start to happen. So so it's quite possible as you're, you know, kind of moving up and out of your body, as you're passing through the 8th, you've got the option of just, oh, let's take a left turn and go to this dimension, or a right turn and to go to that dimension. And you'd be surprised at how many people have, conscious recollection of interdimensional traveling. So if you have experienced something like this and you didn't really know what it was, or you were too afraid to accept that it might be true, you're not alone. I mean, I really do see more and more of that people have access to parts of themselves that they didn't even know existed. So a lot of times, that's another way that some of your own downloads can occur from just being in your astral states and meeting all your guides and having a little chitty chat with them, and a little brat pack, and trying to figure out, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, are we going to do this, we're going to do that. You've got to, it's like being in front of a council of people that are giving you the best advice possible. And and a lot of times you're in those states and you're very open-minded because you understand these higher realms of yourself. You're not just this little being in this physical body, you're actually this multi-dimensional life force that can be molded and expanded accordingly, and encouraged to work beyond these smaller parts of our inner and outer world. So yeah, I mean, the next time you go to sleep, there are some other things that you can do also to create a more peaceful environment for yourself. Like, there are such things as dream pillows, and they're often scented and have certain, herbs or flower essences or essential oils that can help calm, because often the state with which you go to sleep in is often the state with which you would astral travel in, right? Like, there's sometimes you're in a funk and that's how you go to sleep. So you're going to sort of match that vibratory off-put in whatever world you're, working in while you're slumbering innocently on your own bed. I know there are a lot of people who have sleep paralysis at times, where you'll wake up and you'll feel like you're being held down. So people will often wonder, is that like some kind of an entity on top of me? Is it a spirit from another dimension? What is all of that? And a lot of times I feel like it is I think it is. I think it's energy that visits. And I think that there are some spirits that would be very happy to be in a more physical place. Just as much as we can go up and out of our body and go into these other states of being, so can some spirits, be more dense and be more obvious in a room. So I've had some situations where, I've been pinned down, and it's been a very unusual experience because you're trying to break free of this force that's on you. And it can be very unsettling. Those kinds of things can, like, you can just command those things to move off of you. It's actually, they're not meant to stay, right? Like, they're not really meant to infiltrate our physical. So they're already acting kind of without proper protocols, in my opinion. So if things like that happen to you, you can just tell them to leave, right? Like, there's a way to just say goodbye, like, tell them to leave, I mean, you can't have them polluting your nighttime space or your rooms or whatever you're coming back into your body with. So, but that can be unsettling. It's almost like meeting the wrong crowd. right? If you're trying to connect to people that might be in your future, if you're really hoping to make these connections, you know, you can intend as you're going to sleep, like, higher power, please put me in the presence of those that can help me. Please help me recognize those that are here to support me. Help me meet the ones that are here to guide me. Help show me who I can trust in this world by showing me where they are now. You know, so you can ask and intone these demands of the universe, so to speak, or your own support team to help, you know, move these things more into the present, rather than having to always feel like you know, you're never meeting the people you need to enrich your life. Sometimes we know that there are people that we need to say goodbye to in our lives, and we're not ready to say goodbye to them. And a lot of times that dream state can be used for that too. Show me opportunities where I can cut my cords, or show me ways that I can complete this interlude. Show me the way that I can, you know. So in that regard, you would be, you know, I think employing more of your mental capacities to kind of create what you need to get to your next step. So that would be like your problem solving, you know, like your mind is a good problem solver. So if you give it something to do while it goes to its rest state at night, it's going to work to solve the problems for you. So, you know, getting into a proper sleep routine, or a dream routine, or an astral routine accordingly, you know, and start to differentiate the differences, and how they affect your physical body and your emotional state and your mental planes. So, you know, you can work with all of this pretty diligently. Some people are really adept at this and don't even know what they're doing. And others are working very diligently to make it, you know, a nightly lucid experience. So, you know, everybody's on all these different swings of the spectrum. So don't feel like you need to be in any one state. And I feel that people kind of move in and out of these different things, you know, like I said earlier, if you have certain things that you're trying to heal in yourself, then your mind is always going to be constantly trying to find. And the way that the subconscious mind works and the dreaming mind works is, and even when I think of how I read psychic information and the symbols that I get, direct images that are very literal, and there's no question about how to interpret them. And other times I get symbols and I need to figure out, well, what does this mean, and what impact does it have, and how does it relate? So, you know, you start to work with these energies slowly, and you start to see, okay, well, if I dream of, you know, being in a car, it has to do with my own sense of direction, or do I have any control over where I'm going, right? Like I know for sure that those are the themes that I'm dealing with if I'm dreaming about a car. So is that going to be the same with everyone? Not exactly, but it could be similar. So you need to sort of tune into how do you, you know, use your own symbology to get the message across. And like I've had dreams where, you know, something's happened with somebody that I've loved or really respected in my normal day-to-day life, and then something happens in the dream and they disappoint me or they betray me, and then I can't even hardly get over it in my day-to-day life. And you're like, oh my gosh, they didn't do anything to me, but now they're an enemy, you know. So you have to, like, it's amazing the power of your dreaming mind. And yeah, so don't underestimate the power of these dream spaces. So that's another thing that you may want to do before you go to sleep is, you know, welcome in your guides and your spiritual enablers. And I say that lovingly because you do have, you know, a crew of spiritual forces, whether they're your actual spirit guides, or they're your loved ones that have passed, or they may just be, you know, temporary healing guides that are helping you get through a certain phase in your life. So, you know, you can intone that they make themselves seen. You know, you can welcome them into your dream space and your astral states to keep you safe and to help you feel loved and to um, give you that sense of protection, right? So you really do have a lot of free will about what goes on at night when you are least, you know, available, seemingly. And, you know, where in truth, you're actually more of yourself and more capable. It's interesting sometimes how you know, something will go on at night and then you'll wake up in with this full emotional density, right? Like I woke up recently, months ago, you know, for a couple of days just sobbing. I mean, it was just, you know, went to bed fine the night before and who knows what happened. Some can of worms was opened up overnight and I woke up just completely in this emotional, you know, turmoil and whatever it was. And, you know, it took a couple days to work through. So, you know, so when you wake up like that, you know, and you know that there's no logical reason for it, you begin to understand, oh my God, I'm actually very busy when I'm not awake. I'm using the time wisely to try to smooth out the parts that I'm trying to heal or the parts that I'm trying to make peace with. You know, like sometimes you can't heal everything at once. Sometimes you just have to agree to accept where you are and live with some of the energetic discomforts, right? So that's how you manage some of this discomfort as you get it worked out at night. So bringing this prayer in, like, you know, guides, please protect me as I travel tonight and learn what I need to learn and help me find the solutions effortlessly so that I can reach this completion. There's all kinds of ways that you can make this easier on yourself. And if for some reason you do have insomnia and you can't get to sleep, or you have fear of sleeping, like I had a fear of going to sleep for quite some time. I mean, I had a lot of trauma related around my sleep. Like I was, you know, in 1994, I was part of the Northridge earthquake in California, and I was instantly homeless, right? Like I woke up 4:30 in the morning just with everything in my room underneath my bed, and my bed 6 feet ahead of where it used to be, and sliding glass doors open, and you know, pebbles falling off the roof into the room. So I mean, that was a bit of a shock to the system. Like who wants to go to sleep after that, you know? And then in 2012 I was woken up and assaulted in my home. So you know, I had a lot, I didn't want to go to sleep. I was afraid to go to sleep. I became insomniac, and then I wasn't getting the sleep I needed, and then of course that whole cycle started. So you know, it's really easy to have disruptions in your sleep patterns. And meanwhile, you know, there's this whole host of beings and effortless help that want to help you, you know, make up for lost time. So you know, be willing to meet yourself where you are, as far as, if you know, if you're not able to sleep at night, figure out a way that you can sleep during the day, and be willing to, you know, switch it up a little bit so that you can at least get the rest that you need, and you know, rebuild some of your energy rather than deplete it at night, right? So and go easy on yourself, and understand that if you're in that cycle, that you do need to kind of give into it a little bit, and allow yourself to work through at whatever pace you can, you know. And I just think about what I'm going to learn or what they're going to show me or what they want me to know next, and I just try to keep an open mind as far as what new information is coming to me, right? Like it doesn't take too long when you start to see these things and feel these things and define what they are to realize that, wow, not really all that alone after all. And there are plenty of benevolent beings that will help guide you, right? Like anybody who's had a near-death experience will often say that there were those waiting to greet, right? So there are those kinds of possibilities in the astral. Like you don't have to be dead to get that help. You can get that help every night of the week. So lean into it, right? And just go, okay, guys, we're going in. What can we get done? Help me get there faster, stronger, with more grace and with more happiness and with more joy. I mean, you really can direct a lot of how your day-to-day life works by how you approach your sleep cycle and your astral traveling. Definitely, take a little bit of meditative time before you wander off into your sleeps. If you're prone to nightmares and you're prone to those kinds of sensitivities where, you might be a little more vulnerable, then you're going to want to do things like protecting your nighttime space by only allowing pretty music or soft inspirational programming rather than crime fiction or whatever before you turn off for the night. Make sure that you do some nurturing things to support the best experience possible, because I mean, you're not your higher power and your own higher self is going to do what it needs to do to get the work done, for sure. So just work with it the best you can. Keep an open mind. Control your mind. You do not want to be entering a sleep cycle in fear. Okay, wherever you are in your mind as you're falling asleep is pretty much where you're going to be as soon as you get to sleep. So, whatever you can do to be in a good mood before you go to sleep, to be in an uplifted, open-minded and open-hearted state of being, the better in tone that you're going to have restful, peaceful sleep, detoxifying sleep. Like, just tell you what you need from you, right? Like that's really how it works. I mean, is it a manipulation? No, I think it's a creative visualization and a creative reality based on, how you want it to look and feel. You can also help yourself remember by telling yourself you're going to remember. I'm going to remember my dreams tonight. I'm going to remember where I've been tonight as I'm traveling. I'm going to remember who I've met. I'm going to come back with hints and clues and ways of working through my problems rather than perpetuating them. And it's kind of a good way to hand things over to God at night too. Let's go take care of that together. Even keeping a dream journal is a good idea, because you'll be able to start to see the difference between, the situations where, oh yeah, that was my brain. I had a dream about a deli because we were talking about sandwiches all day and I didn't eat, right? So your mind is going to put two and two together and create a place where you could eat. So that's a dream. I saw my grandmother and it was the first time I could smell her. I could feel her hug. For sure you had a visitation. For sure you had a trip down memory lane with someone you love. Powerful experiences. Have fun with it and dream big. You may as well. I'm sure you've heard tales of people who've had interesting experiences in their nightscapes, and you know, it's not hard for me to tell as sort of an energetic technician whether, you know, somebody's traveling, because I'll be able to tell right away, because I'll see them hit certain points of their timelines, and I'll be able to see them, you know, busy trying to build their future. You know, often that will happen when you're in between careers or in between relationships, or, you know, you've got this change is brewing in you. So, you know, you'll reach out and try to figure out as many pieces of the puzzle as possible. And then some of it'll, you know, just sort of sweep through your memory and be gone. And other parts of it will stick and be very influential, right? Like a lot of times people will have dreams and their lives will change because something snapped into place and they got what they needed from that experience. As science is telling us that we need more and more sleep, I would agree, because, you know, we're not sleeping the whole time that we're asleep as much as we are asleep. There are many places within ourselves that are very busy and very active and very open and very, you know, expansive. So getting enough rest, even if you have insomnia and you can't sleep, just being able to allow yourself to rest and to regroup energetically is very, you know, helpful as well. So however you're working with your nighttime, you know, understand that it might be more than just what meets the average eye. I guess we'll just see how you do, and let me know. I'm always very curious to see how you're working with your own symbols and what meaning you're deriving from the things that you see or feel even or hear in your nighttime sleep. So I would love to hear on, you know, whether you've had experiences where you could hear something, feel something, smell something, you like, what was going on that was the visceral, what was the part that was so tangible that you never forgot about it? I would love to know. And you know, have you ever had an experience where you felt like one of your loved ones was coming to give you some vital information or to help fill in some blanks for you? Like, what's your experience been? Whatever is, I'm sure it's, you know, I believe it. I have seen a lot and I've experienced a lot, and it can be a little confusing and disconcerting, but it can also be just wide-eyed, inspiring, and really wondrous. Try not to be too afraid. Just program yourself to meet happy people along the way and keep the faith. So thanks for tuning in today. I hope this helped you. If you're a wild dreamer, I hope that it made you a little more relaxed about this complex part of our psyches and bodies. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Subscribe to my channel and don't miss my next video. And until I see you, take really good care of yourself. Do sweet things for yourself before you go to sleep. All right, and let me know how it goes. And especially if you notice a difference, like if you change your sleep routine and you start having better results with your nighttime escapisms, let me know how it goes. Let me see where you go. Take good care. See you next time.